10, if you look back, turn to Job chapter 10. Job chapter 10. If you remember the original, there's no chapter breaks, no verse breaks. And so what we're going to find is Job 10 flowing directly from unresolved tension created from his realization in chapter 9, verses 32 and 33. So we'll do a recap, kind of do a general overview to kind of help us, because chapter 10 can be a little jarring for some people. Because the way it reads, you can be like, I can't believe he said that. So if we don't really understand, it can come off a little wrong. So let's do that. Turn to Job chapter 10. Quick recap. If you recall, chapter 9, verses 32 and 33 is the key. He's now looking for a mediator. Verse 32, for he is not a man as I am, but I may answer him, and that we should go to court together. Nor is there any mediator between us. Who may lay his hand on us both? So remember, he's got this brilliant but terrifying realization. Three things he came up with. Number one, God is perfectly holy and powerful. Which leads to number two, humans cannot justify themselves before this holy God. Leads to number three, we need a mediator. We need a mediator. So Job understands that there must be a bridge that exists between a holy God and sinful man, but he believes now that bridge doesn't exist. So as we enter chapter 10, it's important to understand his mindset and his worldview, because this is before the cross. He doesn't know anything about Jesus. He's saying, I know I need Jesus, but where I don't know him, right? And so he's going to go into chapter 10, and he's going to be in great despair because of that. It's going to give us a glimpse of the lost world and the hopelessness that Ephesians talks about, Paul talks about in chapter 2. So this insight creates new problems. If there's no mediator, then I cannot safely approach God, leading Job to a terrifying conclusion that God is not merely mysterious, but that God is dangerous. So I want you to think about that for just a moment. Do you ever think of God as being dangerous? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
What do I mean when I say God is dangerous? What's that?
He has the power to do whatever.
Has the power to do whatever? That can be a little scary. I don't want to upset, some big MMA fighter with cauliflower ear. It can be a little scary. Or Matt, who said he was going to taste me earlier. I was a little scared. He's like, don't worry, I'll be here for a minute and you'll be out. So, yeah. I don't know how to afford that. We definitely have a new building. He's taking it. We'll have a palace. Robert Towers. Change the baby. So, I'm totally. Let's think about being tased now. So, God is dangerous to approach. What does that tell us about God? God is dangerous to approach.
When we come to him, we need to be reverent.
I heard something.
When we come to him, we need to be reverent. Isn't that right, Liz?
Why?
We need to have the respect for his authority. And for
So we
his
need to respect his authority. Good. Why else is it important to know that approaching God is dangerous?
What did the belief in the Old Testament about to come to the back of the tabernacle unrighteous?
Yeah, so when the high priest went in, they would tie a rope around him.
Yeah, but I think it was something about just ordinary people.
Nobody would ever come in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would die instantly.
Right.
Yeah.
With respect to.
They wouldn't even write his name. They wouldn't even say his name. If they wrote it, they'd toss aside the answer. It's interesting.
The Bible itself says that we are to fear God.
The beginning of wisdom is fear. Good. What else is important to understand that God is dangerous to approach?
Sin can't exist around him, and so we are all sinful. We can't exist around him in our current state just by ourselves.
Exactly. And that's kind of where Job is in the mindset right now, right? What does that tell us then about how we can approach God? I mean, that's to be honest, are we kind of haphazard in how we think of God today?
Yes.
how we approach worship and
We have to be very pure and humble and honest in approaching God because, you know, humans have a tendency to want to psych out the person, you know, to try to manipulate things and stuff. And when you approach an all-knowing God who knows everything, there's no facade that you can have. That's very dangerous because the hypocrisy of trying to outwit an all-knowing God is really dangerous. It's an insult. It's abomination to him to have his creation approach him in that way.
excellent. You read my notes for my sermon.
No.
Sounds like it. All right, so with that in mind, let's jump into chapter 10. Job is now going to pray in the absence of a mediator. So this chapter is about him praying, but the tone changes instantly. So he's going to speak to God as three things. You're going to see him speak to God as creator first, then judge, and then an investigator. And we're going to see that transition as we go through chapter 10. And without a mediator, Job feels trapped in a legal system where God is holy, and he's the judge. But not only that, he's the prosecutor, and he's also the witness against Job. So in other words, there's no chance for Job. He has no advocate. And so this is going to be a very desperate prayer. So, let's kind of do an overview. I'm going to read through it so you can kind of get a glimpse, and then give you a little overview of what we're reading, then we'll get into some deeper stuff, because there's some really good stuff here. Verse 1, my soul loathes my life. I will give free course to my complaints. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, do not condemn me. Show me why you contend with me. Does it seem good to you that you should oppress? That you should despise the work of your hands? And smile on the counsel of the wicked? Do you have eyes of flesh, or do you see as a man sees? Are your days like the days of a mortal man? Are your years like the days of a mighty man, that you should seek for my iniquity and search out my sin? Although you know that I am not wicked, and there is no one who can deliver from your hand. Your hands have made me and fashioned me in intricate unity, yet you would destroy me. Remember, I pray that you have made me like clay. Will you turn me into dust again? Did you not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? Clothe me with skin and flesh, and knit me together with bones and sinews? You have granted me life and favor, and your care has preserved my spirit. And these things you have hidden in your heart. I know that this was with you. If I sin, then you mark me, and will not acquit me of my iniquity. If I am wicked, woe to me. Even if I am righteous, I cannot lift up my head. I am full of disgrace. See my misery. If my head is exalted, you hunt me like a fierce lion, and again you show yourself awesome against me. You renew your witness against me and increase your indignation toward me. Changes and war are ever with me. Why then have you brought me out of the womb? Oh, that I had perished and no eye had seen me. I would have been as though I had not been. I would have been carried from the womb to the grave. Are not my days few? Cease. Leave me alone, that I may take a little comfort. Before I go to the place from which I shall not return, to the land of darkness and the shadow of death, a land as dark as darkness itself, as the shadow of death without any order, where even the light is like darkness. Job begins accusing God's intentions. He begins first by wondering whether God created him only to destroy him. Now, this is not doctrine. This is the psychological effect of suffering, understanding the holiness of God and that he created him and yet still suffering. And again, he can't reconcile the two in his mind. And without the mediator, the relationship feels adversarial. So this whole lament is him saying, God, you're against me, and I can't take it anymore. So again, this is kind of the dark magic of where he goes without a mediator. Notice again in verse 21 and 22, this is the apex of it. Before I go to the place from which I shall not return, to the land of darkness and the shadow of death. In other words, his reasoning is, I cannot justify myself before you. There's no mediator to reconcile us. Therefore, I can't approach you. I can't explain myself. You're afflicting me. Please just let me die. That's his reasoning without a mediator. So in essence, he says to God, can't you just leave me alone? Just leave me alone, let me die. It's the fear of divine scrutiny. We see in Revelation on Sunday, we're going to see Jesus with eyes like flames of fire. This is what Job was experiencing. That judgment where he sees right through him. He feels as if God is inspecting him and he has nowhere to hide. Have you ever felt like that? You ever felt, have you ever done something wrong and you got caught? You had nowhere to hide, no excuse? That's where Job is right now. And so he's looking for relief from this oppression. Stop looking at me. Withdraw your gaze. That's harsh language, it sounds to our ears, but it's really a beautiful irony. Because if you remember at the beginning, he was begging God to look at him. Now he's saying, Lord, don't look at me. Stop looking at me. Take your hand off of me. So this is kind of the gospel. How do we see the gospel played out? Again, we're just overviewing it. We'll get into some verses. From chapter 9, 32 and 33, into this lament, the truth I just gave you, how do we see the gospel presented there?
You have a question?
Let's give you time to think. So, this is a clear picture of the gospel. How are we seeing the gospel? Evidence from, again, bringing verse 32 and 33 of chapter 9, and the things we just covered in chapter 10, the general overview.
Pointing out the absence of,
Okay, but why does he need a mediator?
he can't reach.
Okay, so we have sin before a holy God. Because of that,
He can't reach God. He can't-
we can't reach, we can't be reconciled. Good. So that's the start of the gospel. What else? Yes. So he's looking for that mediator. So what that part of that is the gospel. Okay, so the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus. What else? What did Jesus do on that cross? Again, God is gazing and inspecting us and he sees our sin. What did Jesus do on the cross? He took our sin. So that gaze of judgment left us and went to Jesus. Jesus endured this for us. This is, again, a little glimpse into what Jesus suffered on the cross. We cannot fully understand what it was like for him. When he who knew no sin became sin for us. That he took on the sin of all mankind. And God's, again, he's dangerous because he's holy. What was one of the sayings of Jesus on the cross? When we know this moment happened, what did you think? Which saying do you think corresponds to that? Say it loud. My God, why have you forsaken me? So this right here, Job is giving us a glimpse of that. This again is a foreshadow of Jesus, who would fully take on sin for us. So again, Job is correct about needing a mediator, but he just assumes none exists right now in chapter 10. So he's revealed that necessity. Now he's got a complaint against the judge. Let's get a little bit deeper and see let's find some gold in here. Look back at verse 1. He says, my soul loathes my life. That word loathe is interesting. He says, it's a deep weariness. My life has become a deep weariness. Interesting. This is an existential exhaustion. This is not suicidal. This is just Job saying, I don't want to live anymore. Now, there's a key here that we need to understand. Job never stops praying to God. Why is that important? Even though he's in anguish, even though he longs for death, he's still talking to God. Why is that important to realize? And what's a mistake that we often make?
A relationship with him. And that's, I think, the key, right? Like, you can complain about stuff that's going on to God, right? You may be wrong or probably wrong, but, you know, so you maintain that relationship We think that the things aren't going our way, he's forsaken us. Let's turn our back on him and go do whatever we want because this isn't working out, right? It's like your relationship. You're not doing what I want. I'm just gonna go try to find happiness somewhere else. And then you end up right back. It's where you started and still have to deal with it.
Yeah, excellent. So is it sinful to speak honestly to God about our pain and our sorrow? No. Scripture repeatedly models that, right? You can write down Psalm 113, verses 1 and 2. You find David questioning God. Jeremiah 20, verses 7 through 18, Jeremiah is complaining. Matthew 27:46, Jesus cries out. What matters is the direction. Again, Job speaks to God, not away from him. So Job's faith is real, but it's struggling. Despite the harsh language, he never does a few things. Number one, he never curses God. We don't see him curse God here. Number two, he never abandons prayer. Number three, he never denies God's existence. And number four, he never turns to idols. Now, why is that important to understand?
That's how we should live.
I heard a little something somewhere.
It's how we should live.
What?
That's how we should live.
That's how we should live?
That should be our, part of our example.
Do we ever make these mistakes? Have you ever cursed God? Have you ever stopped praying? You ever denied God's existence? At times we're hard. Turn to an idol? What's an idol? Not necessarily a little thing of addiction, right?
Any kind of addiction, whatever you prioritize.
Anything you love more, serve more, fear more than God? Anything you love Him?
So actually try to get answers for him.
Yeah.
Besides him.
So even in our suffering, we can turn to ourselves, turn to family, friends, money, alcohol, drugs. Interesting. So Job keeps speaking to God and clinging to God even though he's confused. So faith is not the absence of struggle. It's refusing to stop speaking to God in the struggle. And that's the key that we see here. So notice now verse 2. He says, do not condemn me. Show me why you contend with me. That word contend again. He's looking at God as a judge. That's a legal word. He's like, why are you bringing a lawsuit against me, Lord? So right now he's looking at God as his judge. And he assumes that God must have a case against him. He just cannot find out what it is. It's as if you got served a court order and you had to go to court and you're like, Judge, I don't know why I'm here. That's what Job feels like. So, Judge, why am I here? I'm condemned for what? Explain to me what I've done wrong. That's where Job is. Notice verse 3. Does it seem good to you that you should oppress me, that you should crush me? Literally means crush. Does it seem good to you, God, that you're crushing me? He's looking at God as a tyrant. It's a shocking statement, actually, in Hebrew. God, you're acting as a despot, a tyrant, and you're crushing me. Notice now verses 4 and 5. Do you have eyes of flesh? Do you see as man sees? Are your days like the days of a mortal man? Are your years like the days of a mighty man? That you should seek for my iniquity and search out my sin? What is he saying?
You don't understand it.
Close.
You don't understand what he's going through.
Close. So it's actually a little bit worse than that.
What possible value could you get from exacting punishment from you?
Part of it, yes. That's the conclusion. He starts off in essence saying, if you're omniscient, why are you investigating me as though I have hidden sin?
He's saying, you know I'm not guilty, that you're treating me as though I am.
Yeah. He's saying, God, you know everything. Again, Job's saying, I'm innocent, God. I haven't done anything that brought this on. So if you're omniscient, why are you searching me so deeply? Why are you judging me so harshly as if I've done something wrong? That's what he's saying there, literally. He's longing for moral coherence. See, we as humans long for moral coherence. We long for justice. Do we not? What is the problem when we sense that there's incoherence in morality or justice? I think it's the word that we use in America is fair. You ever thought, God, this isn't fair? Is God fair? That's really the question. Is God fair?
Well, he's just,
It's just,
What's the difference?
well, he.
It's important.
He's holy and he is just. He will mete out punishment or discipline in accordance with his holiness. And as it relates to fairness is more perception, I think, of humankind. I mean, God is the ultimate authority. He can do what he wants. If he is sovereign, he can do what he wants. And he's boss.
He is just. But unexplained suffering is contradictory to us. Right? God is always, so what does it mean when we say God's just? Let's define our terms.
he's unwavering, he's constant, he's gonna be the same.
Okay? And remember, what was the argument leading into this by his friend?
He must have done something.
God always punishes sin.
Yeah.
He never punishes righteousness. Job is saying, I have not sinned. God is punishing me. There's a contradiction in either God's character or the way this world is working. Because God is just. But if he's just, why am I suffering? That's what Job's wrestling with.
Man's righteousness, though, even in Job's righteousness, could not compare to the holiness of God.
Sure. But again, he's fighting that argument that was laid at him of this God who always punishes sin and always rewards righteousness. He knows he needs a mediator, but now he's saying, but since no mediator exists, God, why then, if you're just, are you punishing me who I've done nothing wrong?
Right.
That's the disconnect.
But he also sees, I mean, later in this chapter, he also sees the goodness of God, I mean, the blessings of God, and he also feels the depth of his nature, that he, well, you're getting there.
Yeah.
I would just think, well, I think it's because he does see God sees the beginning, middle, and the end.
Yeah.
And Job didn't know that God and the devil had a conversation. Just like I think with us, God knows everything. Like when we think something's going wrong in our life and it looks like all Hades is breaking loose, God sees the beginning of it, the middle of it, the end of it, so we don't know. You know what I mean? Job doesn't know that he's going to benefit at the end of this, because he doesn't know that the discussion that he had with the devil, that this all started with. So I think that's true to all of us, like we think we're getting condemned sometimes because we're going through something, but then you go, oh, okay, let's see now, because God already knew. So I think that's what I get at that.
Excellent. So then I guess the question could be, does questioning God equal the same as accusing God? Is there a difference?
Where do you come from? What do you sense?
Yeah.
I
What would be
think
the
that,
difference?
I think that probably if we were all sitting here with boils and sores, we would understand what he's saying. Because this is still going on. This is not a conversation after everything's done.
Mhm.
This is a conversation where this man is hurting everywhere that you can hurt
Yep.
while he's talking to God. I think all of his language speaks to us then because we understand where the anguish is coming from.
Yep. And don't forget, all his kids are dead.
Yeah.
He's broke. His wife told him to just die.
He's probably at trash now.
Yeah. And so he's questioning God. But what's the difference between questioning God and accusing God? Because that's a very fine line, and it's one that many people walk today. And I think we need to understand the difference.
I think questioning is, what are, why are you doing this? And accusing is, you are doing this, why, right? They're different,
Yeah.
different.
So questioning is faith seeking understanding. Accusing is doubting.
I think we know what.
Putting yourself above God.
Yeah.
Excellent. So in essence, the believer's saying, God, I know you're good, but I don't understand what's going on, but I still trust you. Whereas accusing would say what?
I know more than you, and I want you to explain this to me.
So what are we doing when we do that?
We're putting ourselves
Shrinking
above God.
You're what?
Putting ourselves above God.
Even more than that, what are we doing? How are we doing that? Remember, what is Job looking at God right now as? A judge. So we judge God when we accuse God. Why is that wrong? Or dangerous?
Yeah, it's not our place.
We tend to glorify God, and we tend to, or try to give him my attributes, rather than understanding that he is other. He is something other than me. So,
Okay, this may not be where you're going, but as new Christians, usually, we think we got God. We are good to go. And then we have a bad time. And a lot of people fall out right there. They don't know. As experienced Christians, we know that we have highs and lows, and it's because God's teaching us things. And I don't know if that kind of pans into that or not, but that's
No, keep going on it. It's good.
do what?
Keep going. I said that's good. Keep pulling that thread.
It's
I
like,
can do a side note. It's good.
that goes like, I would think like along with what Jesus said with the parable of the sowers, like one of them is when it worries this world and the troubles of this life might get them, and then it steals their faith away.
Say that last part again.
It like steals their faith away. Almost.
How does that happen? Why does that happen? That's a better question.
Maybe there's a perception that once you've accepted Jesus, you won't go through the highs and lows of life. And that's completely inaccurate. You're still going to go through the highs and lows of life, but you're going to have joy and comfort in you that
I agree with that, because after you reach rock bottom, everything else is here, I mean, that, whatever. You take it as a lessons or acknowledgement as it comes, as the bad times comes, as your faith grows. Okay, what are you trying to teach me now?
That's grows through relationship with God, and it diminishes with absence of that relationship also. So when we're out of fellowship with the Lord, we're not going back there.
So why is relationship key in all of this? Especially with extreme suffering, as G brought up. Why is relationship key to faith?
Faith and knowledge.
You have that foundation.
Yeah, foundation.
You have the foundation of prayer and a relationship, just being able to talk to him.
Okay.
Because when I had cancer, I asked, what in the world are what are we doing? What's going on? Whatever. And then it's one simple okay, we'll get through this. Forgive me, for being angry, but I'm angry.
Yeah.
But I think you need that foundation first, prayer, a good solid church. You need that foundation.
Okay. Foundation. Somebody said something else?
That relationship thing it kind of gives us a cheat. We now have the Holy Spirit inside of us to tell us, it's okay. Just believe and have faith and get on your knees. And things will get better, and they do.
Comfort.
What's that?
Comfort.
Comfort? Okay.
The comfort, and there's a peace, but sometimes things don't get better. And God is still God, even if things don't get better for us. We all have been through things and we see it get better, and that's what grows our faith sometimes, is we know He's been faithful in that. But God does things or allows things to feel easier on ours, and it's not always that way. We still have a peace. In that. God is always taking care of us.
It does make sense. So I guess the test then is what happens after the question. If things don't get better, do we veer into the accusation? Or do we stay in that I will trust you, though you may slay me?
But we have to go back to the foundational principle that we're just passing through this world and our home is not here, that we have a better place waiting on us. That's where it gets better. And he's not saying that it's going to get better here on this earth, but it is going to get better when we all join him in paradise, when we're in heaven. And that's where our hope should be. We're supposed to put our treasures there.
Oh, so now you're bringing in hope. How can we bring in hope? Because Job didn't have hope. So now we're saying the key is Jesus.
Yeah.
So what's Jesus' role in this? Bridging chapter 10, hopelessness, to our day today, hope. we have hope. So how does Jesus play into our suffering?
Jesus is our hope.
Jesus was our suffering.
Jesus is our hope, okay?
And he is our suffering. He suffered. He's been through this. He walked in the world. He went through the temptations. He lived this life. And so he's our example. I mean, he did it all.
Like Robbie said at the podcast, Jesus teaches us how to suffer well.
Suffer well. So he teaches us. He's our example. One other aspect about Jesus and suffering is probably the most important.
He intercedes on our behalf.
He intercedes.
He was the propitiation for us.
Mediator propitiation. Excellent. One other key.
Jesus answers the questions in verse 4. When Job asked God, do you have flesh? Do you have eyes? Can you see as I see? Do you see it from my perspective? And Jesus said, yeah, I got eyes. I got sight. I got all. I got it.
So he suffers with us.
Yes.
Why does that make a difference?
It's your own love.
Job, what's his greatest problem? He thinks he's alone.
He thinks he's by himself.
Yeah. He thinks he's alone. But he's not.
And that
But he's not.
That can be.
That's what God's walking into. I never left you. That's the beautiful story. That's the beautiful truth. And again, he suffered, he kept his horse, and now we see the even more importance of Jesus. Because yes, God is dangerous. You can't ever approach him apart from Christ. It's his righteousness, not my righteousness. I would never dare to go to God and say, I had a good day today, God. Let's talk. No. We only approach him through the blood of Jesus. But when we do that, we can come boldly. It changes things. So, judge. Now notice how he switches to creator. Verses 8 through 12. Your hands have made me and fashioned me in intricate unity. What's he saying right there? It's a beautiful verse for any abortionist. What is God saying there?
But he created us from the
Is-
very beginning.
So are babies just
No.
chance byproducts?
You did me in my mother's womb.
You knitted me in my mother's womb. You knew me before I was made. You fashioned my inward parts. This verse 2, your hands have made me. I'm in intricate unity. The wisdom of God, the sovereignty of God, the love of God. What does that phrase in intricate unity say to you? Again, God is dangerous. He's the creator. And he's saying, but you intricately made me. What vivid language is that telling you about God?
Every little detail about you. He DNA is created, a unique DNA that has never been before and never will be again. Is created the moment of conception. God does that.
So we see God's knowledge of us. What else is it showing about God as it relates to us even from the womb? Every intricate detail.
His relationship with him.
Think about his love for us. Every intricate detail. What is that telling you?
Intimacy.
There's intimacy. I mean, again, think about it. We're talking about God. And yet every baby is intricately designed.
It's on purpose.
There's a purpose.
It's not just live.
It's not, I like to think of it, it's not like an assembly line where God just came and that's okay, there's another baby. But he's like intricate like a workman. Or he goes to the pottery clay. He's about to use that analogy. That God is intimately involved in every one of our lives. From the very beginning. Now what does that tell you about God?
Not only with babies, it's everything.
With everything.
Because there is nothing, no two things alike.
Yeah,
Completely alike.
exactly.
Similar, but not alike. So that, God created everything individually.
So what is he revealing about God here? Again, he's holy. He's dangerous. But he's also
Loving.
He's loving. Interesting. That's a weird thing to reconcile. Is it not? I mean, dangerous, holy, perfect, I can never approach him. And yet, he loves me so much that he intricately designed every piece of me, and every piece of you, and every piece of everyone ever born. So, that's what he's highlighting here. Your hands fashioned me, intricate beauty. Now notice the term. What does he say next? What does he say? Yet you would destroy me. What is he saying there? If you made me with such care, God, such love, such purpose, why are you treating me like this? Huh. So Job's question assumes a few things. Number one, God did create him with care. Number two, God did not create him for destruction. Therefore, his current suffering feels inconsistent with God's character. That's what he's wrestling with. That's what he's wrestling with. Now, this is, what's that? Exactly, and that's what he'll learn in the end. But why is that important for today? We're going to take a little detour because it's important. Put your thinking caps on. What's a major theology today that would contradict what was just said?
Would that not just be Calvinism and destroying Calvinism?
Uh-oh. You just went there. How dare you, Brady?
John Calvin is turning in the coffin right now.
But you're exactly right. Why is he right? Why does this argument right here by Job destroy Calvinism and Reformed theology? If Job believed God created some people for the purpose of destruction, his question makes no sense. His God makes no sense. If I'm just going to create something for destruction, why would I intimately design it? Why would he be crying out to God, why wouldn't he just say, I'm simply one of the reprobate? Oh well. Is that not what Calvinism teaches? Some of you are like, I don't know. How does that coincide with Calvinism, Brandon? Since you astutely pulled it up.
Well,
I was going to go there for the video reference.
Calvinism teaches that there is an elect, that God has placed a certain chosen and elect number of people, and no more, no less than what he has chosen of the elect can be saved, and that everyone else, no matter what they do, no matter what, they are destined and doomed for destruction, period, end of story. And that nobody, nothing is going to make a difference on it.
It's called the doctrine of reprobation.
So then why keep making people?
It's not true. Exactly. But that isn't the Jim says. What's that? Where's my
jury?
Where are you going after? You're more than 144,000. Oh wait, that's another one. My bad. My bad. No.
That's it.
So God predestined some to damnation. Job here is pushing back on that. He's pushing on that in a different direction. Number one, Job assumes God's creative intention is good. That's what he's saying there. Verse 8, God, your intention in creation is good. You're a good God. Again, this is incompatible with the idea that God created some just for destruction. Number two, Job's complaint is moral, not metaphysical. He's not saying you made me to damn me. He's saying you made me so lovingly that you're a God of such detail and love. Why does it feel like I'm suffering condemnation? Therefore, his theology assumes God does not arbitrarily condemn, that there's a reason why he condemns mankind. And it goes back to the argument of I need a mediator. Again, he's crying out for Jesus. Why send Jesus? Why would God send Jesus? If he created some just to damn them, what would be the purpose? Because he could just create some to save them. He wouldn't need Jesus. What's the purpose? That's what Job's pushing back. The entire argument collapses if God predestines people for destruction. His lament here only makes sense if, number one, God is just. Number two, God does not condemn without cause. And number three, God does not create people for damnation. Otherwise, the entire argument falls apart. And with that, we'll wrap it up. We'll get deeper into that next week. God willing. All right, any questions, comments, complaints? Again, that was Brady Gomillion. He's just going to cut that out. Whatever. All right, give us a close in prayer. You got us? All right, Chanzel, close us.
Holy Father, thank you for today. Thank you for all that you've given us when it comes to service. We ask that you help us with our songs and our chores. As we go by our city, even start time to prepare for your redeemed Lord. Lord, thank you for healing lift you apart through word. And Lord, we thank you for time and prosper. Precious holy name, Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.